Good morning, everyone. I will just be sharing with you the ASEAN Joint Statement on Climate Change to the 23rd session of the Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. During the 31st ASEAN Summit, the heads of states issued a joint statement to be delivered by the ASEAN during the high-level segment of the 23rd Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change that is now ongoing in Bonn, Germany. Since all countries in ASEAN are developing, or termed as non-OECD, some common Asian views include adherence to the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. The need to issue the joint statement by the ASEAN member states is to articulate the ASEAN's common concerns and the need of the UNFCCC COP23. Climate change policies should take into account the following: calls upon developed country parties to provide means of implementation to ASEAN in order to enhance sustainable management as well as conservation of biodiversity, ecosystems, and landscape. Another one is strengthens the ASEAN rapid response capacity on climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction under the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response, or simply called AED-ADMER. Calls upon developed country parties to honor and fulfill their existing mitigation commitments that includes financial support amounting to $100 billion annually under the convention. Urges the Green Climate Fund to facilitate and promote direct access to the fund by ASEAN and other developing country parties, and calls upon developed country parties to enhance support the ongoing efforts on promoting low carbon and climate resilient ASEAN cities. The joint statement is usually drafted by the officials attending the ASEAN Working Group on Climate Change, currently chaired by Singapore, and approved by consensus of the ASEAN Environment Ministers and the ASEAN leaders. This year's statement was drafted by the Philippines through the DNR-EMB upon request of the ASEAN member states. The said draft was agreed by the ASEAN senior officials on environment during its 28th meeting held this year in Manila. So that's all for the salient points of the joint statement that will be delivered next week during the high-level segment in Bonn, Germany, for the 23rd Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Thank you.
So we only have time to receive 2 questions. So as always, please state your name, affiliation, and limit your questions to 2 questions. So we're now open for questions. Oh, sorry. You can use any of the mics on the left or right of you.
Good morning. My name is Ina Teves from the Philippines News Agency. Sir, may we know if we already have some feedback regarding the issue on Canadian waste?
I love that question. In Unang Hilit, and that is a recycled video of mine when we discovered that Canada garbage. Right now, we have filed, and the criminal case is ongoing, so I cannot really share much of what will happen, but there's already a court order to return it to the Canada. Well, I'm giving it to the Foreign Affairs Department because that is a bilateral issue, and I'm more on the technical issue of the case.
Okay, we'll take one more question. Any questions for Mr. Sañez? Well, if there are no more questions,
Thank you very much.
that ends today's press briefing. Thank you, Mr. Sañez, and thank you all.